Greetings and welcome back to my reflection videos for surviving Mindcrack Island. As you can see, I am flying here today above the treetop PvP that was featured in our first immunity challenge on the first day of the island. We had no clue what was going on. We didn't know who each other were, and we were said, go into the trees and fight. And I think it was pretty funny what actually turned out. So hopefully you've already seen the official episode that aired back on Friday the 11th. This episode is, if I did everything right, is being aired on Tuesday the 15th. And if you watched on my channel, I split my prior videos up into two sets of episodes. The first was the day 0 where we picked teams. We did the Cocoa Bean Challenge. And then the video that I put out yesterday on Monday was the actual battle. And then you didn't get to see what happened in the council because we weren't at the council. The red team won this challenge. By the way, spoilers. If you're watching Reflections before you've watched that day, then you will get spoilers. We won this challenge, and so we didn't go to council. We went to what's called Camp Life, which means we were in a separate map from the blue team. And in the first night, we didn't know what was going on in council, but we were just kind of exploring. We got a little bit of time to settle in as a group, strategize together. I think that really paid off in the long run, but you will have to be the judge of that when you see those episodes. And on the first night, at least, we didn't actually know who got voted off. We had no idea what was really going on there. Now, as you saw in the PvP challenge itself, things went so fast. I mean, we completely obliterated the other team, mostly through our ranged skills. I was actually pretty proud of mine. We eliminated them before Good even realized it was over. We were still running around, and you know, at least one funny moment besides the fact that we didn't realize we won and Good didn't either, is this was the first time in Minecraft that I actually saw another player with the invisibility effect on. And all I saw was armor running towards me, and I had no idea it was one of my team members because they didn't have teams and colored names back then. And so I shot him. Now, it did not hurt us in any way because the game was already over and it was funny. But for a moment there, it was very tense. So PvP happened really fast. Proud of my bow skills. And then what you also saw happen was after the blue team returned to the island after their council, then the people who were filming, the Mindcrack members who were filming all the different points of view that you see in the official episodes, got to have a little fun with us. They got to drop some mob eggs on us and watch us fight and use up our hunger. And if we died overnight, then we would take I think it was a 5-second penalty in the following day's challenge or some other type of penalty. And you'll see that basically that pattern repeated. So as a reminder, if you watched my What is Surviving Mindcrack Island video, and you don't remember, or if you didn't watch it, there's a lot of background on how this works behind the scenes. But basically, at dawn, we come from our camp, we go find the tree mail, we get a clue about what we're going to face, we go meet on the beach, we go to the beach, and then we have a challenge. And it's either a team challenge where we get one team gets rewarded, the other team gets penalized, or an individual challenge where an individual gets a reward, or it is an immunity challenge where you can gain immunity from being voted off of the island. And then on days that there is an immunity challenge, so some weeks there will be a team or individual challenge and then an immunity challenge, and some weeks there's just an immunity challenge. After the immunity challenge, there is the council where someone gets voted off the island. And in the official Mindcrack videos, that episode, they will be airing on Fridays, and that episode will take you the span of time, either 1 or 2 days from council to council. Mine are broken up by day, so each week you get more videos with a lot more detail. But it's all from my point of view. You don't get to see what everyone else is saying to each other. All right, so One thing that I do want to also cover in these videos, and by the way, the next video on my channel that I plan to air will be on next Friday the 18th, and that will be my day 3. And as I said, on the main channel, that will be there, everything up to the second council video. No spoilers. No spoilers on what you haven't seen yet, but there could be spoilers on what happened in the past 2 days. Anyway, I think I've made that more than abundantly clear. So one thing I want to talk about in some of these episodes, besides just kind of getting you a look at these arenas that we had to fight in or do different things in, is what did I learn about people as I watched their episodes, their point of view, that I didn't know while I was playing? And how does that change if I were to redo this today, knowing everything I know up to this day, not the whole contest, but up to day 2, how would that change who I vote for in the next council? Now, in this particular day cycle, I didn't have to go to council. I didn't have to vote everyone out. But you can watch my video, my reflection of day 0, to find out who I would have voted out if I had gone to council. All right, so let me talk about what I saw in other people's point of views. And I highly encourage you to watch any of these videos. Part of the reason that I'm doing this is because I do feel like I have a unique audience compared to some of the other folks, say Just Van or Honey or Desi or Suchel or Lorgon. Like, these folks have their audience and I have mine. Some of them are bigger than me. Some of them are don't have as many subs as me. But what I'm hoping is, if you hear about something interesting that I saw in their videos, it might prompt you to go take a look at a few minutes of it, listen to the way they do their commentary, look at the way, and sometimes you may do this subtly without realizing it, look at the way their camera moves as they play the game, as well as how they, as how they conduct themselves as somebody, as a cameraman for their own channel. And maybe you'll see something that you like, and maybe you will go and subscribe to their channels too. And that's kind of how we grew from the early days of Minecraft, was featuring other people's channels and growing together. Not in a sub for sub way, but in an organic way of just sharing what we find interesting. And as you know, I found a lot of stuff interesting in this contest. So I've gone a little bit longer than I intended, but now let me tell you what I know from seeing other people's points of views. All right, so I ended up watching a number of point of views from the other team members. It looks like about half of us are doing point of view videos, and these are in the order that they appeared in my subscription box. So there's no favoritism, there's no hints, there's no clues in the order or what I talk about. If I see something in the first video that's amusing and then I see it again in the second and third videos, I probably will only comment on it once. So don't feel bad if you go last and I don't have much to say about your video. But actually, it was pretty amazing to watch these, because there were a couple things I was surprised about, and I laughed a lot more than I thought. The first video that I saw was from Lorgon 111, and all of these links will be in the description of this video, but you can also get them on the Mindcrack subreddit. So each week they're going to sticky that week's episode on the official channel, and then link all of our little point of views that we submit. So you can get to all these from there. So the first one was Lorgon 111, and his first video, so I'm assuming he's doing a couple a week, his first video was all behind the scenes stuff that happened in the first 2 hours before we actually started the competition. So that's right, we all met for what we thought was going to be about a 4 to 8 hour competition, and it took 2 hours before we even got started. He shows, things like the cameraman and the Mumble plugin and a lot of lighthearted banter and a lot of goofy stuff that went on before we actually started, like Trap being gooed inside of a wool box while he was AFK, typical Minecraft stuff. So that was a fun episode to watch, and I didn't take footage of some of that stuff. I took screenshots, but not footage, because I was kind of not sure if it was going to be allowed in our final videos. because this was going to become a professional thing, blah, blah, blah. So the next one that I watched was actually the official episode for what they're calling Day 1. And the first thing that I thought was seeing us all from that third-person overhead perspective was really cool and fun. Having seen it on the ground in person and then seen it on the ground again, like maybe, I would say I watched my episodes at least 4 times through the editing process. And then watching them like recently to remember what was there and re-editing them. And then watching some rough cuts of the final episodes. The final version is really well done. I was surprised at the amount of hitting on Honey that Old Man Willikers did. I thought it was actually really hilarious. He played his character very well. I noticed that, oh, and by the way, things that I mention in this video are not spoilers for what is to come. They are only commentary on what I have seen up to this point. So this is only commentary on what I've seen. So at this point in watching, Lorgon actually stood out to me from our red team as somebody who was presenting logical ideas, asking the right questions, starting to display some leadership abilities. And the way that the official video was edited, I didn't really hear too much from Van, who, as you heard in my episode, was like one of the people that I thought going into this I had to watch out for. Let's see. And it was pretty funny. I didn't realize that Lorgon actually did stand there with the chicken the whole time, basically strategically conserving his hunger, but also quote unquote guarding our chicken, which they didn't really do a good job for because it ran off. I was surprised to watch Desi TM get run off by Old Man Willikers. That was pretty funny. He seemed that Desi's behavior actually, I think, personifies a lot of what most of us were feeling. We really weren't sure what the rules were at that point, but it was just so funny. And then the rest of the blue team is just standing there on their bed while Old Man Willikers is running around trying to get food and stuff. And I think, honestly, from what I saw in the main video, I wish they wouldn't have voted Old Man Willikers off, because he seemed, even during the PvP, like, although he had this really obnoxious persona, he knows what he's doing. Like, he's a PvP guy. He created and ran Dwarves versus Zombies for a long time, and they just didn't listen to him at all. Like, they had pretty much written him off. I did notice an interesting thing. Dire Dwarf, in the video, they made a point of showing Dire Dwarf pairing up with Amlop shortly after the next morning. And I think Dire Dwarf basically said something like, you know, as long as we're winning, none of us need to have that talk. So it was almost like Dire Dwarf was starting to divide and conquer within his own team just right off the bat, while everyone else was just kind of standing around after its connection issues. And then one part that really made me laugh was when both teams read the tree mail. It said, "Atop the trees, the other tribe you see." And whoever was reading that, all the rest of the people standing around immediately looked up in the air, like looking for the other team in the trees above. I thought that was pretty hilarious. And then Old Man Williker, like I said, he was leading the scavenging, he was leading the PvP, and he had a pretty masterful plan. He thought that everyone was going to vote for Dire, which I kind of figured everyone was going to vote for him at this point in watching the video. But he had a masterful stroke of voting for Honey to try and throw them off. And it seemed to me by the time they got to the council that Honey, Dire, and I think, Dark Fan in his voting said that Dire was like one of his best friends, and Honey, they all seemed to know each other. So luck of the draw that they all got on the same team. But I thought that was interesting that they seem to have pretty strong pre-relationships. And then Van and Brian, or Lorgon, seem to know each other, I think from the Mindcrack community. Now, holy cow, I was completely surprised by the actual vote in the Blue Council. I really did not expect it to be so spread. It was like 1-1-1, and then 2 for Old Man Willikers. I thought it would be at least 3 people against Old Man Willikers, and it wasn't. So that means that that team was in voting each other, and I think Darkfan, I'm 100% sure that he voted for Dyer, which he said was his best friend. So it was interesting that at that point in the game, they were, they had a rough start, but when it came to that council, they were actually ready to play the game. And then, oh my gosh, it was so funny. Old Man Wilkers gets voted off, and he had all their stuff. Like, he was carrying all the important stuff, and it's just gone. So the blue team seems to be in trouble. The tease at the end of the official video was really good. It, seems to be foreshadowing some stuff, but it looks, to me, it was very well teased. I want to see the next episode. Okay, the next episode that I watched was I Such Tell on my red team, and he had included some additional behind the scenes stuff that I forgot. I think it was in between the first 2 events. We were kind of standing on the beach on these carpets, and Old Man Willikers and others started breaking the carpets, and then Old Man Willikers started creating a tower of carpet, and I looked down at the carpet. You can see me in the film. And I stopped. I refrained from actually breaking the carpet, which, as you know, back at this point, I was known for breaking custom maps. And the other thing that I found funny in Suchel's video that I completely forgot we did in between takes, like behind the scenes, was when we first walked into this area here, Good was standing on this platform, and we all came in from over here, and he was just standing there looking at us, and the way he turned his head when he looked at us was like Jeff Probst, and the things that he said, he was emulating Jeff Probst, the host of Survivor. And so we got a chuckle out of kind of making fun of Good a couple times for really trying to take it seriously and emulate one of his idols, I guess you could say. Anyway, such a good episode. Then I watched Van Ryder's episode, and Van, he, also on the red team, he had an interesting thing. He had an overlay for his mumble. So when somebody talked, you could actually see who it was that was talking. And I think that really helped him equate people's voices with who was talking, especially with the distance push to talk on. I don't think it gave him any sort of unfair advantage or anything like that at all. I just thought it was an interesting thing I didn't know existed. And then it was interesting because, as I suspected, Van, in watching his point of view, he did give more input. He did give more suggestions and provide value to our team more than what they showed in the official vid. I think that's not on purpose, just, kind of how they edited the most interesting scenes. And it was actually, I got a chuckle out of when he and Lorgon were standing on the beach with the chicken, and they were trying to kind of just reconfirm, okay, where did everybody go? And I had gone with Amlip and Suchel just to search for chests and stuff, and Lorgon also seemed to understand whose names was whose very quickly, and he said, where did Arsmalik go? Ron. And then Van wasn't sure who Ron was. I just got a chuckle. They weren't sure who I was back then. They didn't know me. But it was weird to eavesdrop on somebody talking about you that didn't know you. It was cool. And then the other thing that stood out to me in Van's video is when we all were told go on this challenge, we had to run into this house here, and there was this chest with a bunch of gear in it. Oh, look at that. And we weren't sure. Again, we were still taking it cautiously. We didn't want to offend anyone. We didn't want to take stuff that we shouldn't. And everyone was afraid to take stuff. And Good's sitting there counting down, you have 2 seconds left before it starts. So then everyone just starts grabbing stuff. And you just hear the whole chat full of confusion and panic as the first event actually set in. I got a kick out of that. So then I watched Honey's video, and I was really looking forward to her video at this point because I had seen the way that Old Man Willikers treated her in the official video. And she's so polite and proper. She'll get in there and scrap it up with the best of us guys, but as the only girl, she was very polite in just kind of ignoring or rebuffing his advances, his fake in-character advances toward her. And I just thought it was funny, and it was mentioned in other videos, but it really actually hit home with me in her video that Old Man Williker's original character that he was going to join this event as was going to be a guy in drag, like as a girl. And back then, it probably would have been funny, but can you imagine in 2016 today how controversial that is with women's rights in gaming and, transgender is such a hot topic nowadays? Like, that would have really put a spin on this series 2.5 years later. So that was interesting. And then I was a little bit surprised in her video. I picked up Van's voice making some pregame banter that surprised me. Something about going to take a crap or whatever. And I know back when I was in that situation, at that point, I didn't know who was whose voice. I was still learning in those first 2 hours before we started. And then, it was clear that she knew Dyer and Dark from before the competition. So things interesting. Again, with their last voting at the end, that there was a bunch of voting for everyone. Pretty much everyone got a vote except one person. That was interesting. And then I watched Dark Fan's video. Now his was only like 30 seconds or so, but it was pretty funny. It was how to survive Mindcrack Island, and it was 20 seconds. It said outlast this guy, and then you see armor stand wearing Old Man Williker's head, and then it blows up, and that's it. So I thought it was funny. I appreciated that. And then I thought I'd seen all the videos that were out, and then at the last minute before I recorded this, I saw on the Reddit page that Old Man Williker's put out his point of view, and I laughed. Oh my god. He put a lot of hilarious editing, some animations. He was fighting with invisible cameramen, and like it all started off with Spanish Flea, if you're familiar with that tune, bum 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 bum. And then all throughout there was funny music like Sailor Moon and all kinds of stuff. He spent quite a bit of time editing it, and that's one person that I honestly can say I wish he had been around longer, because he's probably the person that I knew by the end of this, today in 2016, that I know the least out of all the contestants. And his video was not enabled for comments, so he probably thinks he's going to get griefed by a lot of the Mindcrack people in the community because of things that happened with him in Mindcrack, the Play Mindcrack server, and it's a shame, but he is a very flamboyant character, and but he's also, I feel like he would have been a real strong asset to the blue team going forward. So that's it for this episode. A lot of me talking, and I looked back at what I saw in day one, and what I saw in other people's perspective videos. And as I said at the beginning, the next episode that I have in this series will be my day 2 video, the actual events that occurred. That'll be out on the 18th. And then I'm going to try to watch everybody else's point of views. And hopefully by the 19th, maybe worst case, the 20th, I will have my next reflection video filmed in 2016. So so that's what to look forward to. I've been really happy with the way this series started out. The hype and the comments. Some people like it, some people don't like it. There's a lot of different opinions, and that's perfectly fine. But thank you to everyone who's new to my channel. I know a couple people said that they're going to try watching some of my other series from this point forward. That would be awesome. I have, again, like a lot of stuff that I do on my realms and a lot of stuff I do with the map making community. And I have a Lost podcast that also shows up on my channel. So look forward to those. I'll try to maybe, give you the best side of myself when I'm editing. Sometimes I just leave in like any random stuff that happens, but sometimes they're highly crafted videos. So I'll try to give you a good picture of what I'm about. And if you do want to go back, if you want to look back at my channel and see like just the best, what I feel was the best of my channel, I have a playlist. It's called #PreviouslyOn. and it's older series that I thought were particularly good. There's some machinima, there's some builds, there's some collaborations with some really awesome people. So if you're interested, check that out. Leave me a comment, let me know, please. If you're new, I like interacting with folks that are watching, and I just like to know what you think. So again, cheers. Glad you guys are here. And day one, I survived Mindcrack Island.